So, it is currently the final day of my 4-day tramping trip here in the Tararua Ranges. And it is a lovely morning right now at a nice little hut called Cone Hut. This trip has been absolutely amazing. Like, it probably is my favourite tramping trip I've ever done. It's been 4 days. The first day was walking up to Powell hut, which is up in the snow, and the second day it actually freshly snowed and I walked up to Mt Holdsworth summit, which was amazing, absolutely amazing. It's only the second peak I've been up to here in the Tararuas since I started going here, and it was absolutely beautiful. Now, I had a go at walking up to the Holdsworth summit on the first day in the evening, although the weather was severe. It was so windy that you basically couldn't actually stand up, and the wind chill was absolutely freezing. Like, I wore gloves and like my hands went numb probably after about 30 seconds of being in the open wind. Like, it was not very nice up there. I wouldn't have wanted to have been crossing over the tops on that day, although there were people that did it. In fact, in the evening, this guy walked in after crossing the whole tops out in that weather, and his jaw was so numb from the cold that he almost couldn't talk. Like, he was talking very slowly and he had to wait a bit in the warm for him to be able to speak normally. So basically, for the second day, I did the summit trip, went up to the trig, and then walked back down to the hut. But then that wasn't all. The goal of that day was actually to walk on to Totara Flats hut, which is the next place I was staying. So after the big amazing trip to the summit, just did a regular old walk through the bush to get down to Totara Flats. And Totara Flats was absolutely packed. It was completely full of people. There was a youth group there, so they were all standing in tents. There was like a whole bunch of tents outside. I think it was about 15 kids or something like that. Like, it was rowdy in that hut that night. It was a Saturday night, so it makes sense. It's a very accessible hut. It's quite close to the road, so pretty easy for people to get to. But anyway, stayed there overnight, and then I actually had a choice to make. I was either going to do a 3-day trip and walk out to that nearby road and then catch a train home, or if the weather was looking good, I was actually going to turn this into a 4-day trip. And as you can guess, it ended up being a 4-day trip, and it was well worth it. It was incredibly worth it. What I ended up doing is doing a whole day crossing over Cone Ridge, which is a long one. It was about 7.5 hours walking up and over this big ridge line that was all very remote. Like, the track was quite middle of nowhere, and it was amazing, absolutely amazing, because it started snowing while I was up there. But then by the top, it was heavy snow, like absolutely blanketed in snow. I've never walked through anything like that before. Like, I've never been up on the tops while it's been actively snowing, and that was some heavy snow. And it was just amazing, absolutely amazing. Like, can't even really describe it. Like, that's the best tramping experience I've ever had up there. And especially, like, just being up there completely on your own, like, just snow in every direction, middle of nowhere, feels absolutely amazing. Well, how about that? Isn't that absolutely beautiful? But then, so anyway, walked up to Cone Summit, which is up there. That was, the point where it was completely covered in snow. And then went all the way down the hill, back down to Cone Hut, which is where I am now. And this is an adorable little hut. It's a really old one. I believe it's one of the oldest. It might be the second oldest hut in the whole Tararua Ranges. And it's this old wooden thing. And it's awesome. I love it. It's the coziest little hut you could ever ask for. This is the inside of Cone Hut. Adorable little place. Basically every other hut is a lot more modern than this, and this is like an old-fashioned wooden one. This is all my burner and everything, used for cooking. But as you can see, it's just a wooden door. Like, cold air comes in through that in the night. Although it was actually remarkably cozy in here. It was lovely. Hasn't actually been too cold on this trip. Typical tramper's morning. Just boiling a bit of water for a nice little soup. Yeah, outside the hut you've just got this lovely little open area surrounded by native bush. There's a river down there, that's what that noise is. Got your little woodshed. And that water tank there. Don't drink from that water tank. I poured a bottle from it and it had actual bugs swimming inside it. Anyway, today is the final day and I'm just going to be walking out to the end of the road, and I'm getting picked up by a friend, which is nice, so I don't have to take public transport home. But I got about a 5.5 hour day ahead. It's quite nice though, because it's all just walking along the flat. Like, everything so far has been very rugged, like never flat, never simple. It's always clambering over roots, it's always clambering up very steep hills. The whole of yesterday was walking through snow, so it's actually quite relaxing just to have a nice flat valley to walk out for the end of the day. Especially because on these 4-day trips, once you get to the end, oh, you're so relaxed, your mind is in such a blissful meditative state, and it's nice to have a good flat ending just to relax and walk out on, to reflect on the trip you've just done. Oh, it's amazing. I've done one of these 4-day trips before and also a 3-day trip, and just plenty of overnighters around here, and I'm loving these multi-day ones. Like, there's something really special about spending several days completely out in the bush.